Yo, what up, guys? A quick one on beat. So I shared this chart on my Telegram channel, and some persons asked for explanation. Firstly, we need to understand what happened here. This was the top of 2017 when BTC topped, and then this was the bottom of the last bear run we had, the last bearish market we had when BTC dropped to almost 3,900 or thereabouts. Okay, just a little below $4,000. That was also 2020, that COVID era. From then, BTC has actually been going up until we had this very breakout that occurred there. And since then, you can see what has been happening. BTC kept on moving up until it kind of topped here and started going down. Yeah, pushing us into another bearish market. Now, the question arises, what is the next thing? One of the things I've always understood, or one of the things I've always come to understand about BTC is that majority of the time, not just BTC, all coins, so to say, majority of the time when there is a breakout, there is usually a retest, right? I remember what we are using here is the weekly time frame, weekly chart. Majority of the time when there is a breakout, there is usually a retest. Okay, now BTC actually broke this. I like to call this the primary supports. BTC actually broke this primary support, and from then we saw BTC go to 17,000 or thereabouts. Now there are two things involved. Either that BTC goes up again to retest $25,000 or thereabouts, which was the earlier support that was broken down. And if it does that, BTC will now push down again to start dropping to these various lows. Remember, from more intents and measures, from what I'm seeing on this chart, it's pretty much obvious that BTC is coming to retest this breakout. This is the breakout zone, this downsloping line now, which was the earlier support, which was the earlier resistance, so to say. This is actually the breakout. This is where the breakout occurred. So I'm thinking that to all intents and measures, there's a probability of BTC, maybe if he eventually touches this 25K, that arbitrarily, so to say, there's no there's no absolute in my statement. Okay, so it's still a game of probability. So there is a chance that if it eventually does touch it, probably, right, it will now push down again to come down to this is the next support. Okay, it has already tested this very support. It broke below that but couldn't continue, then it got pushed up. So there's BTC eventually comes here, it breaks this very support, the next support will be here. And if eventually this support doesn't hold, remember that this support is also touching this very line here, and we are factoring in this downsloping resistance here. So if this one doesn't hold, the next likely place is this. That's around $8,836. There is a chance of that happening. I'm not saying it's must, but then looking at what the chart is telling, there's actually a tendency of it happening, because it's just pretty much obvious that BTC is planning to retest the place where it broke out from. But there is no guarantee to the fact that it must always happen like that, because this is actually this place used to be a support, so to say. So BTC actually came and retested this very support. So that's why we are having this bounce off here. That's why we are having this. Follow this line. It touched this very top here. This was the 2017 top, so to say, that BTC got to almost 20,000. So it actually touched it, that's around here, and then it's actually getting this very price action, this very series of rejection here that it's happening. So BTC is tending to go upwards. But in the event that BTC comes here, understand, and closes above this very area now, this is actually a very key area to focus on, this shaded region, right? It's currently serving as a resistance, but it used to be a key support. So this is where we need to focus our eyes on. If BTC eventually closes maybe somewhere around 29.5 or $30,000, it means that the bearish days are over. But then I like to open my eyes to look at everything, right? To see things the way they are, because we had this very breakout. Since we had this breakout, BTC hasn't come to retest it again. Since we had this breakout from here, BTC hasn't come back to retest it. So I'm thinking there is a likelihood of maybe BTC coming back again to retest that place where it broke out from. Maybe not to go as low as 4,162 as we can see on this chart. Maybe it might not really drop that low, but it might possibly might. Please remember, it's a case of probability. There is no absolute, right? So it might actually come here again to retest this very support. So we need to be very, very careful. This is August. Many analysts are predicting that August is going to be a bullish month for BTC. But as students of the market, we don't need to hold any side of the bias tenaciously. We don't need to hold anything so close to heart. We just need to open our eyes and trade whatever the chart is telling us. So that's pretty much what I want to share with you guys this Monday morning. Hands ahead. Salute.